made time can also be able to benefit in future, inshallah, as I planned to also share this on the YouTube of Abrar Consult, of which we will share also to the WhatsApps and other social media, so that those who miss this session can be able to follow through and understand. So once again, I take this opportunity to thank the Almighty Subhanahu wa Taala for giving us health and the time and the energy to be here. And I thank our honorable speakers, to start with our brother, Dr. Sakware, who is the Commissioner of Insurance. I also thank Brother Salum Awad, who is the CEO of SS Capital. Without forgetting you, participants, we will not be here without your participation. This is one of the webinars that we had seen a very good turnout from the day one when we communicated about this session. Almost more than 60 people had registered in the first few days, and we hope maybe a half of them or all of them will be joining us as we move along. Saying that, as you might be aware, that Tanzania is a very a new entrant in the Islamic finance space. Started with Islamic banking in 2008, and after long deliberations, we managed to move to another stage where we are now having some landscape or regulatory landscape that allows for us to also start Takaful, which is an Islamic insurance. But before the Takaful, we also have good developments of having SACCOs. We have some few SACCOs in this country, which are Islamic. Also, we have the COBAs, which are Islamic. And there has been several initiatives on Islamic social finance, like having Waqf and also Zakat being activated to become active player in the Islamic finance. It is our great honor to organize this session, and the main reason is after a long deliberation, almost 10 years, if I remember properly, we had been engaging with the ministry, with TIRA, for developing regulatory, supervisory regulatory framework for Islamic insurance, because as you might be familiar, the financial sector require all other important players to come in order to complement the services that are required for economic upliftment of our people. So having banking, you need to have an insurance, you need to have other players along the way, like, you know, Sukuk, the capital markets, the pensions, and so on, also be there under the Sharia principles, so that we have one-stop center for Islamic financial solutions for our people. So after long deliberations, consultations, this year, if you remember, we were able to, TIRA was able to finalize and launch the Takaful guidelines, which are out and quite clear, that gives a room now to start a Takaful company. We thought, as organizers, we are also, we have a role to play after a long deliberation of having this service available in the market. It is now time to inform our people, to inform Tanzanians that there is Tanzanians and non-Tanzanians, local and foreigners alike, of this opportunity that is here or otherwise. And that's why we chose to ask this question. Okay, Tanzania Takaful market, is it an opportunity or a hype? And we're glad to have our first speaker, is a guest speaker who's going to give us an opening remark on this particular day, share his view around from the regulatory perspective and other perspective as they deem fit to share with us around Takaful and the insurance sector as he sees it. And then we will have our second speaker, Mr. Salim Mawad, who will basically focus more to this question, to address this question, which is the title of our today's webinar. And finally, I will also come in to share some insights from the Takaful guidelines that has been issued by Tanzania Insurance Regulatory Authority. After we have the second speaker, Mr. Salum, will allow Q&A, and this Q&A can be directed to the commissioner after he had given his opening remarks, or can be directed to Mr. Salum Awad after he has done his presentation. And then I will come in after that. We are expecting this session to take us not more than 1 hour and a half, though we have set up to 12 to be the end of the session. But each speaker, Dr. Sakware, will speak around 10 to 15 minutes, and then Salim Awad will go for 20, 25 minutes, and then we'll have a Q&A as much as they might come, because we want to make sure this discussion, this webinar is very participatory, and in order for us at the end of it to have a very clear way forward from today's discussion. We want the talk to lead to work. We are not here for the talk only that will lead to nowhere. So we pray to Almighty Subhanahu wa Ta'ala to bless this time and make this webinar fruitful, inshallah ta'ala. Now, without taking much time, I'm humbled and honored to welcome our guest speaker, Dr. Bagayo Sakware. For us, we have known him for quite some time. He doesn't need more introduction, but suffices to say he is an experienced regulator, but also an academician, as well as a practitioner in the insurance sector, among others. Among others, I include even the social security areas. He has taught on this field, and he has been on the top of an organ that regulate and supervise insurance sector. He is the commissioner of the insurance of Tanzania. So, brother Ibrahim, brother Sakware, Bagayo Sakware, we are honored to have you, and we welcome you to share with us, to speak for us, share with us your thoughts around this topic, and also the Tanzanian insurance sector. As the members present here, most likely some of them will be the investors of Takaful, inshallah, and we pray that we end up being investors. We see ourselves as potential investors in the Takaful or Islamic insurance sector. With that being said, I welcome Brother Dr. Sakare Bagayo to speak with us, and we are thankful in advance. Karibu sana mheshimiwa.
Asante sana. Thank you very much, Brother Khalfan from Abra Consulting, First of all, as you rightly said, my name is Bagayo Abdallah Sakware. I'm a commissioner of insurance. I work with Tanzania Insurance Regulatory Authority. Of course, before that, I have been around in the public sector, also from time to time engaged myself in the private sector as a consultant, as trainer. And I have been I've also passed through the Ministry of Health for some time, working as a health insurance coordinator. So I can safely say, yes, I have been in the insurance sector in various locations, but in various positions, which gives me some authority on various issues related to insurance and social protection. So may I also thank Almighty God for giving us a good health, and more so for allowing us to discuss something which is very useful to the human being and the development of the society at large. And that is not other than financial inclusion, wealth-related discussion. How do we manage our wealth for our betterment here in the world, but also for our betterment thereafter, after we are done with the world life. Secondly, I wish also to thank the organizers for inviting me to do the opening remarks. They could have chosen any other person of their choice. So it is, I take it not, I don't take it for granted that you have decided to invite me to discuss and do the opening remarks on this very important meeting, online meeting on the very topical issue, which is Tanzania Takaful market investment opportunity or a hyper. This topic, dear participants, is a well-crafted topic. Of course, it attracts questions, or it questions the very important, or the genesis of establishing a regulatory space or requirement to manage the market which we are trying to discuss today, the Takaful market. Now, the insurance market, I will start from there. Insurance market in Tanzania has got a long history. It started way back in 1920s, where there was foreign insurance companies working in Tanzania as a branch companies from overseas, mostly from UK, India, Kenya, and some parts of Europe. Our involvement as a local citizen was at minimum in terms of investment, and also using insurance as a risk management technique to the risks related to the economic and social activities of the local people. And that being said, and then somewhere around, the government controlled the market, and there was an introduction of national state-owned enterprises, National Insurance Corporation in Tanzania, mainland, but also Zanzibar Insurance Corporation in Zanzibar, which managed the entire insurance market. Major changes happened somewhere in 1990s, and where the the private sector was allowed again to undertake insurance business in Tanzania, alongside the state-owned companies, which we have till now. But after that room, we have seen a lot of investment in several layers of insurance in Tanzania. So if you are talking of, say, insurance agencies, 100% owned by Tanzania, brokers, almost 100%, most of them by 95% owned by people of the United Republic of Tanzania. Of course, few are owned by foreigners. And then when it comes to companies, there is mixed ownership, citizen and non-citizen, foreign companies as well. Now, about in 2017, 2015, the government decided to have a framework or a master plan on how to develop an insurance sector which is inclusive, which takes care of everybody, which provide an opportunity to everybody. And the government wants to see the contribution of insurance sector from current 1% contribution to GDP to about 5% up when it comes to 2030. And it is from the financial sector master plan where we derive all what we are doing now in terms of expanding and putting the priorities of how to develop the insurance sector. Now, let me tell you the 2 or 3 priorities of the government when it comes to insurance sector. One is to see the insurance cover extended to majority of Tanzanians, increase the insurance penetration to include farmers, business, small business enterprises, mining, fishing, fisheries, forest, and any other economic activity in the country. Another priority of the government is to see local investment in terms of owning the insurance company itself by opening insurance companies, agencies, brokerage, encouraging investors to come and team up with the local people, and many others which I don't want to mention. Now let me answer in few sentences what does this topic all means. That is the Takaful an investment opportunity or a hyper? You see, the insurance market provides you with a lot of opportunities. Now, I can't safely say I'm a businessman, but I can safely tell you that if these structures are in place, then any investor will be expected to reap from the business. I understand that the insurance, Islamic insurance in particular in Tanzania, is still very at infant stage, and we need to join our hands together to develop this effort even further. So from what do we have? What do we have as an opportunity? One is that we have a regulatory space which allows a guidelines, which we call a Takaful operation guidelines, which were established in and in operation from May 2022. And these guidelines give you a regulatory space to register and get on how to operate. And these are the guidelines which are issued under the law. I mean, they are issued under the insurance law, in particular, section 5. Subsection 2 of the Insurance Act, Cap 394. So there are legal documents, there are legal equipments which an investor should read and see what it gives it. And this is how stable the government is with regards to investment. And these cannot be changed anytime, but we can do the reflection after every 3 years. So you can see it is a stable document. The second part, which we see as an opportunity for the market, for any investor, is that currently the government has amended the law, section 113 of the law, to allow for extension of mandatory covers from current motor vehicle. There is an increase of commercial buildings as a mandatory insurance cover, imported goods, marine vessels of handling, public markets, and soon you will have an health insurance for all, an act which will mean that all insurance covers, health insurance covers, is mandatory for everybody. So these translate into two major things. Now, if you are not having a Takaful operator, that means a conventional market will take all these mandatory insurance, which are required by law. And I can safely say these all items which we have mentioned belongs to the people of Tanzania, whom they have now no choice not to take or not to take it or not to take, because it is now compulsory. So this gives a room for a ready-made market for any operator in the country. Now, on behalf of Insurance Regulatory Authority in Tanzania, I would welcome all interested parties which wants to establish Takaful business in Tanzania, and assure them maximum cooperation and provide support. But last, I wish to insist that we at the authority, we are determined to see a very clean market, a competitive, professional, but also a profitable market, so that the investors will realize their investment after investing in this insurance market, either as a reinsurance company or a Takaful operator or a Takaful operator, or a broker, agents, or any other form of insurance distribution allowable by the law. Of course, another opportunity is that right now in this country, we are seeing an ecosystem with regards to Islamic financing. We are seeing a guidelines with insurance from Insurance Regulatory Authority, but we are seeing the banking are also giving some banking, Bank of Tanzania are also giving some directives to that regards. As CMCA are also on the paving way to establish some form of regulatory requirements. But above all, the Ministry of Finance is also in support of various initiatives related to policies and the regulatory issues. So given that ecosystem is highly supported, I can safely say this is not a time to question or the government commitment to the development of Takaful anymore. This is the time to invest and reap the opportunity and develop any other requirements based on the practice and the experience from the practice. That means being in the field, develop the requirement during the field, suggests those requirements to the authority or any other relevant government organ, so that you get the feedback as required. So with those, without further ado, I wish also to thank those who are at forefront in helping us to provide a Takaful education to the public. And for this matter, I would want to thank Abra Consult Training and Consultants. Of course, we know SIFCA has been also here for in many ways. The brothers from Nairobi who helped us on developing a Takaful guidelines. I don't remember that firm very well. And many others who are interested and in the forefront in helping us to provide Takaful education. And I also believe today's discussion will help increase understanding and create more awareness in Takaful understanding, given that even the most learned people like myself, Takaful's requires to be trained, to be informed, to reason and understand what is the core values in terms of investment. How do we do investment, where to invest, and terminologies and the likes. With those few remarks, I declare that this discussion is open, and I wish you a good and fruitful discussion, and I'm ready to listen any questions or clarification. Thank you very much for inviting me, Brother Khalfan. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Okay, we can hear you, Doctor. I think, I don't know, maybe Brother Khalfan, are you on mute?
Yeah, I'm done, and thank you very much, Khalfan.
Maybe he's facing some technical difficulties.
Great.
We can hardly hear you.
think there are some challenges.
Hebu Abdu niwekee ile meza kubwa kwa Sam, meza kubwa pale ile nyingine.
I think what we can do, nimekuweka kwa host. Nimekuweka kwa host. So this is your session.
So dear participants, I think we well, fine, please mute yourself. We thank Dr. Kware for his opening remarks, and I think giving us an overview, the background and the history and the opportunity which lies ahead for Takaful market in Tanzania. So I think the next session was from me, where I'm supposed to share my few insights on whether the Takaful industry in Tanzania is an opportunity or rather just a hype. So I'll do a few slides while Brother Alfan is trying to also set up on his end. I think by the time I'm done, he'll be able to come back on, and I think we can proceed from there. Just to confirm, do you guys see my screen? Anyone can say yes?
Yes, we can see it.
Thank you. Shukran. Yeah, so I thank Brother Alfan for the introduction. My name is Salam Awad. I'm the Chief Executive for SEC Capital. And my topic today is pretty much, I just want to share a few insights in terms of where I think the general opportunity is in terms of insurance. I can't say much better than what Dr. Safari said, but I think the low-hanging fruits in particular for Takaful in Tanzania, so we don't fall in a situation where we are now with Islamic banking. Yeah, so my company, SEC Capital, these are things that we do. Just for familiarization, for those that we are probably meeting for the first time, we do strategy advisory in the investment banking space, where our focus is pretty much on asset management, mergers and acquisitions, capital raising, and investment placements in the financial markets, locally and regionally. We are pretty much also in financial services, covering Islamic finance as one of our verticals. We are heavy in private equity and venture capital space as well, where we work with local startups and growth companies that are looking to raise funding from alternative sources beyond banks. Of course, we do a lot of research and share data on all different aspects of finance, investment, in other sectors which I think are critical in Tanzanian market. We operate in 3 countries, and this is our track record so far. So these are my key talking points. Some of these aspects I think will only take 1 slide, so I don't want to take much of your time. I think my allocated time is pretty much 20-25, so I'll make sure that I think by 11:10, I must be done. So I just want to share maybe 1 or 2 slides on where are we heading to with Takaful as an industry globally? Because that becomes our sort of yardstick to measure ourselves against what other people are doing in other parts of the world. And then, of course, looking at the insurance market, one of the things that we need to understand and put in our mind is when we're analyzing an opportunity for Takaful, Takaful does not work in isolation. So we need to put it into the general context of insurance. So if you want to increase the penetration of Takaful in this market, we need to understand what's the general insurance penetration in Tanzania. If you want to launch products, you need to know which products are doing much better overall in insurance in Tanzania. If you're looking at the policy framework, because we're pretty much using the same policy framework. So it's very important to understand where is the general insurance market heading, the conventional insurance, vis-a-vis where can we place now Takaful to take advantage of the existing infrastructure, the existing development in the market, and how much can we do from there. But of course, what are the opportunities? As I said earlier, opportunities can be very generic from my point of view, that anyone who wants to go into the insurance industry can look at some of these drivers that are driving opportunities going into the insurance. And then what are the specific areas of opportunities which I think Takaful companies, brokers, agents, and everyone who will be a player in the Takaful ecosystem will be able to take up and do that. And if you were to start or enter into a Takaful business today as an opportunity, what are the options? What are the models that you can look at? Because I'm not sure that each one of us can, start their own Takaful companies given the capital requirements. But of course, Takaful as an industry, just like any other industry, should have options for other people to enter into that industry. And of course, lastly, if you want to start your Takaful business next week, what are my views of a few next steps that you need to look at, so you don't miss the opportunity, but at the same time you don't overestimate the opportunity. So my discussion is not really on the theoretical part of Takaful, but I just thought probably this one slide can suffice for those who are probably hearing Takaful for the first time, just to understand what Takaful is and why is it so different from the traditional conventional insurance. So first of all, Takaful is not necessarily a direct translation of insurance, just like the way we tend to use, of course, generally as Islamic insurance, because it's built and is structured differently. So with Takaful, what we are looking at is, first of all, it's a system of insurance that uses or complies with Islamic principles, whether as mutual assistance, which is called ta'awun, or as donation, which is called tabarruk. And in simple terms, it simply means joint guarantee, meaning people come together and guarantee against each other by pooling their money together with an agreement that they're going to compensate each other against whatever risk that they're going to suffer in that particular period. And why are we talking of Takaful? First of all, for the Muslim community, you cannot participate in conventional insurance because, one, it has some elements of uncertainty, it has some element of gambling, myself, not this traditional gambling in the sense of the way probably you insure and you're not sure whether you're going to get back your when you don't claim your policy for that particular year. There's no refund, and probably you're still going to do the same thing the following year and the following year and the following year. But there's also an element of interest, especially when some of these funds, investable funds from the insurance companies are invested. The traditional conventional insurance company would not take into consideration where they're putting their money into. So they can invest in all sorts of things, from conventional bonds to equities of companies which are listed on stock exchange, which are not necessarily Sharia compliant, or maybe put their money in short-term fixed deposits and earning interest. So few differences. One is on Takaful, we are looking at mutual cooperation. But on conventional insurance, it's pretty much more of a commercial relationship between the two parties, the insurer and the insured. With Takaful, of course, you need to comply to both the Sharia laws, meaning all the sources of Islamic laws, but at the same time, you also need to comply to government laws. So you are not just complying to Islamic laws. That's one thing we need to understand. We have two layers of compliance. Unlike conventional insurance, where you only need to comply to existing government laws. And of course, with Islamic insurance, Takaful, as we use it frequently, we are looking at a scenario where the operations must be free from any types of riba, any types of gharar, any type of mesel. And of course, with conventional insurance, as I said earlier, is pretty much the opposite of that. So risks are shared, which is one of the key principles of Islamic economics, where parties need to share risk, so they can also share the return from the undertaking that they do. But with insurance, traditional insurance, risks are transferred from one individual who is a policyholder to a insurance provider who's supposed now to cover that individual if they face any of the calamities as covered in that insurance policy. And of course, as I said earlier, all the money that is generated as excess in Takaful company, if they were to be invested, they must be invested in Sharia compliant investment assets. So if it's about bonds, if you want to invest in fixed income securities, should be things such as Sukuk. If you want to invest in fixed deposit with an Islamic bank, should be things such as Mudarab accounts. If you